the way he angles his body, where he puts all of his body weight on his left hand and just extends just enough to just scrape the pylon. Those are the plays that decide Super Bowls. That's why every single time, I always talk about it, guys, at the beginning of the season, if the team is just good enough around Patrick Mahomes, I'm going to pick the Chiefs to win the Super Bowl. That isn't something that should just be done every week. No one in the history of football makes plays like this every week outside of Patrick Mahomes.
I want to thank all the talking heads and all the doubt. Yep. Keep it coming. Like, all it does is anytime you can give petty Mahomes the motivation, bro, I'm all for it. That's why I was excited when all these people were saying these things. It's like, bro, let's go.
Yeah.
If I'm feeling boosted and juiced by it, can you imagine what he's feeling?
We are live, therefore it is time. This is Chattin with the Chiefs with your host Lance Twidwell, alongside with my co-host Trevor Twidwell.
What's good, everybody?
Our guy Vaughn Booker, he may be able to slide in today. We don't know yet for sure. Being a celebrity like our guy Mr. Vaughn Booker it's kind of hard sometimes to get him on a consistent basis. The man's got a schedule to upkeep, but we're here for you guys because Trevor and I have literally no life other than football. And so that's what we're here to do, is to talk football, because today, guys, we got to sit back and enjoy a little bit of what I like to call stress-free football, boys and girls. We don't get that very often here in Kansas City, even though the fact that we get to celebrate the best team in the NFL for the last half decade plus, we know, and you know as well as anybody, that most times it's not stress-free football. Chiefs love to keep things close. They love to have these exciting, drag-out type of fights between them, and it doesn't even matter who they're facing. But today was a different day. It's something Trevor and I talked about on the Spoken podcast this last Saturday on episode 235, where we both very much expected that the Chiefs are going to go out there and make this a get-right game offensively, and getting right is exactly what they did offensively today, and I'm very excited to break all that down. But first and foremost, we want to thank every single one of you that's been watching, that's been tuning in over these last 3 weeks now. This has been an absolute blast for Trevor and I, and Vaughn as well, Vaughn Booker, to be able to do this and to do these post games with you guys. So we appreciate all of you. If you've not already done it, go ahead and hit up Starcade Media's YouTube channel, hit subscribe, hit the notification button, and get in the live chat here. If you have not also done it, Trevor and I also have a weekly show on Saturdays called the Spoken Podcast. If you would be so kind, if you enjoy what the content you're getting here at Chatting Up the Chiefs, go ahead and hit us up as well at the Spoken Podcast on YouTube. Hit subscribe, notification button, and live chat as well, because we love communicating with you guys. And trust me when I say today, we are going to make it a mission to get as many of you guys as possible today, getting your questions, getting your takes, because this is a fun day to be talking football, guys. It was a wild week. Trevor and I were sitting here going over our picks. I mean, my dumb ass picked the Commanders today. We thought the Cowboys were going to roll against the Cardinals. They just lost by multiple scores.
America thought that.
I mean, there is some of the most unpredictable games on the slate today.
There were 70 points scored.
70 points scored by one Dolphins team against a team that we very much love to watch lose here from the Denver Broncos. Sean Payton and Russell Wilson look as lost as they ever did back when Nathaniel Hackett was supposedly the problem, right? So there's some things to celebrate, but there's nothing bigger to celebrate today than the Chiefs putting an absolute beat down on a team like the Bears. What do we know and what do we love the most, Trevor, when it comes to football? When it comes to a team like the Chiefs, a team that's fighting for Super Bowls versus a team like the Bears, you keep bad teams bad. The Chiefs have struggled doing that over these last few years. They don't usually just wall up teams. It doesn't normally happen on a consistent basis. But they did today. They took care of business. And the biggest reason why is exactly what Trevor and I were talking about this week on the Spoken Podcast. It's what I'm going to say again today. The 3 steps that I wanted to see them do. I wanted to see them get the ball out of Patrick Mahomes' hands quickly, get guys in rhythm fast, make sure the confidence in these young receivers is going to be there early and often. You saw the ball getting out of Patrick Mahomes' hands fast. He was throwing the ball to everybody. Isaiah Pacheco, Sky Moore, Kadarius Toney got an early reception. Rashee Rice. Justin Ross got the first target of the game. And of course, because the new Mrs. Queen of of Chiefs Kingdom, Miss Taylor Swift, was at the stadium today. We knew Travis was going to eat today, and my guy got himself 7 receptions for 69 nice yards and 1 touchdown. Got to show off to his now current beau. I don't think it's much of a mystery or a thing that we Trevor and I were trying to avoid to talk about this all together because we don't try to get into people's personal affairs. But now that she's at Arrowhead next to Miss Donna Kelsey, it's kind of hard not to talk about it now. It's pretty awesome to see, and I thought it was also awesome that Patrick Mahomes drew that play up for Patrick Mahomes to get a nice little touchdown. As you would say, it was tailor-made for Kelsey to get that touchdown. Either way, I think I'm pretty funny, but you guys can come up with your own opinions if you like. But I love the fact that Chiefs got their guys in rhythm early and often, Trevor. Got the offense clicking quick. And the second part that I said, Trevor, on the Spoken podcast this week is I wanted to see them have a balanced attack. The Chiefs ran the ball 39 times today.
Yep.
39 times. Now, obviously, when you have a big lead, you're going to naturally run the ball to run the clock down and things of that nature. Sure. But it wasn't just that. It wasn't like all the rushes came at the end of the game. In the first quarter, I think the Chiefs ran the ball 8 times. Like, they were balanced. They had a balanced attack. And I know it's a bad Bears team. Guys, trust me, I understand. This game had a lot to do with who the Chiefs were playing rather than just how great the Chiefs were playing. But we have to give credit where credit is due. You saw that Matt Nagy, Andy Reid had an awesome game plan, and the guys went out there and executed it perfectly. And I could not be more proud of the game plan they put out there. It was a balanced attack, kept their opposition on their heels, and you saw they had multiple opportunities to score on several different plays at will, basically. I mean, the throw to Justin Watson. Yeah. You guys know my thoughts on Justin Watson. You know I just think he's a guy on this team. But for whatever reason, Patrick Mahomes loves throwing the ball. It was an absolute dime.
The best throw of the game.
Best throw of the game,
yeah.
and Justin Watson came down with it. So in the words of Eddie Murphy and Coming to America, Watson, yes! Like, it was a great play. Awesome. Congratulations. We love seeing it. But yes, Isaiah Pacheco, 15 rushes for 62 yards and a touchdown. I wasn't really big on Pacheco playing today because I felt like the Chiefs could survive this game without him. He looked incredible, looked fast.
Clyde had 15 for 55 and a touchdown as well.
I mean, Clyde was definitely a complimentary piece. I've told you guys. I said that he was going to lead the team in rushing for the first month of the season. That's still in play. But Pacheco was still clearly the man. Yeah. It's still clearly his job. He is RB1 for the foreseeable future. I didn't like that he was taking the hits he was taking because I want to see him healthy and fresh for some of these bigger AFC games that are going to be coming up. But nevertheless, Trevor, we saw him play and play very well. I also like his, and Trevor, I know this is your guy and this is the dude that we want to see continue to get targets. Sky Moore got 6 targets today. Caught 4 balls, 42 yards. Yeah. I absolutely loved what I saw from Sky Moore today. Valdez Scantling had a touchdown taken away. We're going to talk about that in just a second. I don't want to get too ahead of ourselves here. But we also saw, like I said, Justin Watson getting his big catch. Rashee Rice is the one I want to talk about for just a second.
Yeah, talk about Sky Moore. I mean, he's might have leapfrogged him.
Man, I mean, guys, we
should have had 2 tutties.
What the biggest thing I've said about the wide receiver room coming into the season was we can't expect young, inexperienced, and in particular rookie wide receivers to come in here and play a big role in this offense because if you looked at the past 10 years, Andy Reid's offenses don't have a lot of success from wide receivers, a lot of contributions from wide receivers. But Cole Hardman was solid in his. He had 6 touchdowns in his season. When you have Travis Kelce and Tyreek Hill and Sammy Watkins, it's usually a little bit easier for you to get open downfield. Tyreek Hill in 2016 had a decent year. I think he had 6 touchdowns as well, 7 touchdowns, maybe something like that. More times than not, though, you don't see guys flourish in this offense in the rookie season. Guys, Rashee Rice looks like he could be the exception to the rule. And I know he had a drop problem today a little bit. He's still showing that, and that is a problem. That's probably why Andy Reid's still going to be slow to give him more snaps because Blaine Gabbert put the ball right on the money, and he drilled it and went right into the defender's hands. You can say, well, it was in garbage time. Yeah, but maybe next time it won't be. Yeah. Maybe it'll be in a closer game, and you have to be able to know this guy's got trustworthy hands. That's still something he's got to work on. But the fact that he got 5 receptions for 59 yards on 7 targets. 7 targets. Yeah. He had 7 or 8 targets going into this game in the season.
I will say I think a lot of that was because Kadarius Toney was on the field. A lot of those plays were drawn up for Kadarius Toney, but they're a similar profile kind of guy, and they're very good like after the catch. So I think a lot of those plays would have probably went to Kadarius. But Rashee Rice is seizing the moment, and he should have had 2 touchdowns today. He fell short of the goal line twice. Should have had 2 touchdowns there, so he could have had a massive day. We could be talking about him as the true number 1 if anything goes on with Kadarius for the rest of the way.
Another positive I want to bring up on the offensive side, guys, is Jet McKinnon.
Man. 2 tutties, man.
I don't know if you guys
follow. This is what he does. Is just score touchdowns.
It is all he does. And I have a stat. I don't know if you guys follow me on X or not, formerly known as Twitter. But it's at Lance has Spoken. You can see at the bottom of the screen. I think it's still on there. I put out a stat the last 20 games. Tyreek Hill has 12 touchdowns. Jerick McKinnon, 12 touchdowns. Think about that for a second, guys. Christian McCaffrey has 15 in the same span. We're talking about two of the best receiving / weapons in the NFL, and Tyreek Hill and Christian McCaffrey. And Jet McKinnon, a part-time employee here, is putting up the production equal to these guys. That is insane.
He's more of a receiver than he is anything. He's not really a running back.
For me, though, I look at him as a weapon. I look at him as he can run the ball, he can catch the ball. The fact is this man's getting in the end zone.
Yep.
At an impressive rate. These other dudes, Christian McCaffrey, Tyreek Hill, they're getting 6-7 times the amount of usage that Jet McKinnon could ever dream of getting in this offense. And yet he's still producing. He's so efficient in his touches, man. I loved what I saw because this is what happens, Trevor. We see this every year that Jet McKinnon's been in this offense. Once he starts to get the ball rolling, that ball just continues to roll downhill and he just gains that momentum. Do not be shocked if this man has another 8-9 touchdown season. Don't be shocked, man, because if you look at the way the schedule is worked out for the Chiefs right now, they have a really good Jets defense coming up this next week, but they also have some really bad defenses coming up these next few weeks as well, with the Vikings, with the Broncos, and the Chargers, these other defenses that really struggle, man. Jet McKinnon could go and get himself a nice string of games coming up, and the offense always looks at its best when Jet McKinnon is playing his part. I mean, wouldn't you agree with that?
Of course. I mean, that opens up the whole offense. When he's doing that, that's when our offense is at our best. I mean, those screen plays to him are so deadly, and his ability to find the hole and follow his blockers. He's so good at following the right blocks, and just he knows how to get to the end zone. No matter how small his frame is, the guy just knows how to get to the end zone. Even collecting contact on his way to the end zone, he finds a way to get in there.
Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce, as I like to call them, the goat-to-goat connection, got their 48th touchdown together. It is the most by a quarterback and I think the quarterback and tight end over this span since 2018 by far. They are, guys, in my opinion, the best duo that we've seen since Peyton Manning and Marvin Harrison. I think they're better than Gronk and Tom Brady because Gronk missed a lot of time. He was highly productive and very dominant, but you couldn't rely on Gronk to be on the field a lot of times. Travis Kelce is an Iron Man. He's missed one game to injury in a decade. Him and Patrick Mahomes, like Trevor said before the show tonight, the only thing that sucks is that Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce got started when Travis was about 28, 29 years old, so he didn't get a full, career with Patrick. But if he continues to stay healthy, man, it's who's to say they don't get to 70, 80 touchdowns together? I mean, it's very possible.
Kelce could play until he's 38 years old, similar to how Tony Gonzalez did. He absolutely could.
Right.
The way he's been smart with his body, he hasn't gotten banged up. I mean, the fluky injury in practice was a fluke. That's all it was.
And if he stays with Taylor Swift, if he ever does get banged up, they can just shake it off. You know what I mean? That's the way I look at it. So, but I like I said, overall, guys, I don't have a lot of negatives to take away from the offensive performance because how could you when a team goes out there and puts up 41 points?
Yep.
You absolutely love seeing a team do what they did. Having said that, we do need to address something, and then we're going to move to the defensive side. The NFL is picking on Jawaan Taylor. And I'm going to be honest with you guys. The Chiefs did not do him any favors today. I know. Lance is going to be the guy that always says the unpopular thing, but you got to hear me out here for a second. Jawaan Taylor is getting – there's a double standard when it comes to Jawaan Taylor in the NFL. We saw in week 1, Jawaan Taylor was lining up the way he is always lined up at right tackle, right at the hip of the center, which is totally legal. And people were saying he was jumping the snap. No, he was timing it perfectly. But so many people were bitching and complaining about this that the NFL decided to say, all right, we're going to start cracking down on this league-wide. No, what they meant by league-wide was Kansas City-wide, because all they've been doing is picking on Jawaan Taylor since that day. Because I've seen Lane Johnson, I've seen Ramczyk, I've seen all these other right tackles at high levels, high-profile right tackles do the exact same thing that Jawaan Taylor's been doing, his whole career, by the way, and nothing's been done. The only guy that's getting hit for these penalties is the guy that everyone was bitching about week 1. Do you guys remember in the playoff game when the Chargers were up 27-0 against the Jaguars and Joey Bosa was flipping out of his mind and yelling at the refs, getting himself fined, all those things? You know what that was about? The same thing we're talking about right now with Jawaan Taylor. It was on Jawaan Taylor. Joey Bosa was claiming that he was jumping the snap, that he was false starting, that he was lined up wrong. And the NFL did nothing about it. That week, the week after against the Chiefs when they lost, and then week 1 against the Lions. It wasn't until these things started to come out where people started bitching about it that all of a sudden the NFL wanted to make something about it. And they've done nothing but single him out ever since. But you know what the problem is, Trevor? I was mad and I had this whole take ready to go on this show about why I'm pissed at the NFL about this. But I'm equally as upset about the Chiefs and what they did tonight. And you made the point, Trevor, earlier. You said it yourself, and I don't want to take this away from you and steal your thunder because I want you to expand on it.
Sure.
But the fact is the Chiefs almost made the NFL look justified in doing what they did. Yeah. Because what did they do at the beginning of the second half, Trevor? They benched Juwan Taylor. Now, he ended up coming back in the game. And by the way, I'm really happy the Chiefs decided to play their $80 million right tackle.
Which is so weird.
But the Chiefs doing that almost, like I said, justifies the actions of the NFL because it basically tells me the Chiefs agree with what the NFL is doing. And I don't. And I think of all of you, I don't want to speak for you guys. Get in our chat and let us know what you think. I don't believe the NFL's right about what they're doing to Juwan Taylor. Trevor, what do you see? What do you think about this, man? Because I think this is insanity.
Well, I mean, I try to give the Chiefs the benefit of the doubt. They probably pulled him just because they continue to feel like the refs are picking on him. But at the same time, my issue with the Chiefs was, he's been practicing all week long and been lining up the same way at practice all week long. Exactly. So if the Chiefs had an issue with it and they wanted to correct that and not let him do that anymore, then don't let him do it at practice. Change that up. But he's not doing anything illegal. He's not. What he's doing is very much been done by, like you said, Lane Johnson and other guys along the leagues, veterans that know the loopholes in this game, and he's doing just that. And he did it last year too with the Jags. I don't understand it. It's strange. It feels like they're trying to pick on him for sure. And, whether it's intentionally or unintentionally, it feels intentional. But I agree. I didn't like the look of the Chiefs just kind of going away from him entirely. That's a guy we paid to be the highest paid right tackle in football, who's an absolute a guy we need on the field at all times. So completely just going away from him and sitting him was weird. And this is a bad look publicly in my mind for the Chiefs. I think starting the second half and the camera panning over to him on the sideline looking uncertain, I just didn't like that look for him. I felt for him as a player because, he wants to be out there. He practices and earned that spot on this team. I didn't like that very much. So, yeah, strange situation. Hopefully that we figure it out, and hopefully there's some conversations had amongst the officials of this league and some sample videos giving from Lane Johnson and the other guys that continue to do the same things, and then we can maybe compare and come to an agreement that what he's doing is not illegal, so we can stop dealing with these penalties that are taking away touchdowns for players on our offense and big chunk plays for Patrick Mahomes in this game. Silly. That was just a strange look. I didn't like it at all.
Our guy Shaggy Shane, fellow Starcade media member, also pointed out to me in a text before the show tonight. It was interesting to him that when Juwan Taylor went out, and then Donovan Smith actually had that injury, which I don't think was serious because I think he ended up coming back in the game. Yeah. Prince Tagovailoa, who's known to be a backup tackle for both. I think he's a swing tackle. Yep. He moved from right tackle to left tackle when Donovan Smith went down, which brings up some curiosities about, the importance of who, what is Wanye Morris to this team? Is Lucas Niang going to ever be a part of the equation? How are they going to handle things if and when somebody does go down at right tackle, left tackle? Because we know in the trenches, it's a battle of attrition. The league, every position deals with attrition, but especially in the trenches. So there is a chance that the Chiefs miss a guy for some time here and there, maybe for a quarter or maybe for the rest of the season. It happens. Yeah. So it is going to be interesting to see how they handle that. And we even saw Tagovailoa, if I'm not mistaken, get looked at a little bit because of him chasing down after that interception, the first interception from Blaine Gabbert. So the meaning in all of what I'm trying to say, guys, is that I think that there needs to be a reconciling effect that needs to take place between Juwan Taylor and the NFL because, like I said, ever since that week one game, we've seen him literally get picked on. He was one of the least penalized offensive linemen in the league last year. Right. I'm supposed to believe that now all of a sudden he just got the yips? No, there's no way, man. The league is picking on him, and Patrick Mahomes said it himself after week 2 against the Jaguars when he said, it's hard to play well when you're getting picked on. Right. What is he talking about?
Here we go again, taking the touchdown off the board for Patrick Mahomes to MVS.
And exactly, and that's the next point I was going to bring up, because of the fact this penalty, BS penalty they put on Juwan Taylor almost cost us Patrick Mahomes today. Yeah. Patrick Mahomes got rolled up on. His ankle rolled the right way this time. It wasn't the high ankle side. It was more of a regular leg, like an ankle sprain, natural ankle sprain. Yeah, rolled with it. And you could tell he was in a lot of pain for it. That play doesn't exist if the league doesn't call that BS penalty on Juwan Taylor the play before, and MVS gets himself a nice big touchdown. Yeah. So it negated a lot, and it almost took away from the Chiefs and Chiefs fans a lot more than we had anticipated. So it really upset me. But like I said, the part that upset me the most was how the Chiefs handled it. I just really didn't agree with that at all because, like I said, it's a bad look optically. It makes it look like the Chiefs are like, hey, Juwan, you're in the wrong here, when he wasn't.
Yeah, I don't want there to be any question in his head of the confidence that the Chiefs have in him.
Right.
You know what I mean? I don't want him feeling like he should stop doing what his game is. That's his game, and that's a tactic that other pros, some of the best in his position, alongside of him, do. So, I mean, I think he needs to continue doing what he's doing, or there needs to be a conversation amongst the officials to understand what is and isn't a penalty on that formation. I don't understand it, man.
Let's go ahead and move to the defensive side, shall we?
do it.
Boys and girls.
It was a good day.
I'm really excited about this. I didn't, Trevor and I, if you don't follow our show, hopefully you change that. But something we had said leading into this season was we were both very, very high on the Chiefs defense this year. Obviously, we know the Chiefs are going to win Super Bowls as Patrick Mahomes goes. As long as Patrick Mahomes is Patrick Mahomes, the Chiefs are always going to be in Super Bowl contention. And as long as the Chiefs have a good enough team, a good enough nucleus around Patrick Mahomes, I'm going to pick them to win the Super Bowl. That's a rule I've given myself since last year. I said it after the Seattle Seahawks game. I don't know why I decided to say it after that game, but I just did. The point is, this defense, and I said this a week ago, and I know a lot of you guys pushed back on me, but I stand on it even firmer than I did a week ago. The Chiefs have the best defense in the AFC. I don't know if they're the best in the NFL right now. The Cowboys just took an L against the Cardinals, and the Cardinals are running all over them today. So the Chiefs, to me, are starting to kind of balance it out. The 49ers have a great defense. So I don't know if I'm ready to say the Chiefs have the best defense in the NFL. All I do know is, if you look at the Chiefs' defense right now, even with the 10 points in garbage time they allowed tonight to the Bears, the Chiefs have given up 33 points in 3 games. Guys, that is 10 points a game the Chiefs are allowing. And they faced the Detroit Lions, a very good offense. The Jacksonville Jaguars, ignore what happened today. That is a very talented offense ran by Dougie P. and Trevor Lawrence. And the Chiefs held them to 6 true points, 9 total. The Lions only had 1 legitimate scoring drive in that first game without Chris Jones. And speaking of Chris Jones, Trevor, how about the fact that in 2 games, my guy's got 2.5 sacks? This is why I told everybody, you don't trade this man. You pay him what you can pay him, and hopefully he'll agree to it. I know there's drama there. We're not going to revisit all that. But this man is showing you that he is by far the best interior defensive lineman in this league, with Aaron Donald included. 2 games in, 2.5 sacks. This man is on pace to have over 16 sacks on the season. And if you look at the offensive lines the Chiefs are going up against these next few weeks, and we will talk about this on the Spoken in 6 days from now. If you look at these upcoming offensive lines the Chiefs are going to be facing, I hope you guys are ready, because Chris Jones is going to set a single-season career best for him in sacks. He's had 2 seasons with exactly 15.5 sacks. He is going to overdo that this year, because he's motivated by money, and he's also in the prime of his career, and he's the best at what he does. He is just as good as any of these edge rushers out there right now. I would put him up there with Nick Bosa. I would put them up there with TJ Watt, because those guys have the advantage of running on the outside. Chris Jones has to go through 2 grown men to get to the quarterback, and he's the primary focus of every defense. Nick Bosa has the opportunity to have multiple All-Pros next to him. Not that the Chiefs don't have awesome young players around Chris Jones. These are budding players. George Karlaftis, madman today. Mike Dana, looking to get paid. FAU, looking scary. All these linebackers, looking awesome. Nick Bolton wasn't there, didn't miss a beat. But it's Chris Jones that makes this defense go as it goes. He is the Patrick Mahomes of this defense. And I hope you guys are understanding the value of this man and why this man is worth every penny, why the Chiefs are trying to get this man paid, and why I vehemently believe he's going to be here in Kansas City for years to come, because this defense is scary, and guys, it's going nowhere. They are scary at all 3 levels. This is not hyperbole. This is not me trying to overemphasize. This isn't me being a homer, because I'm called a hater far more than I'm called a homer. Trevor, this defense is for real. I know it was the Bears they faced this week, but I'm telling you right now, do not be shocked if they somehow get better in week 9, week 10, and moving forward. I think this is the kryptonite to what the Dolphins are, because the Dolphins look scary as hell right now, and I'm going to give them all the respect in the world. But Trevor, this defense is built to slow down a team like the Dolphins. Your thoughts?
Yeah, and I just want to say, too, I mean, a lot of people are talking about how the Chiefs have struggled against rushing quarterbacks over the years. In some situations, it's true. We've struggled against Lamar Jackson at times, and people are trying to use that as some kind of loophole to see if maybe Justin Fields can get it going and this can get a get-right game for him. Nope. Our defense absolutely dominated this game from the jump. We could talk about Chris Jones, every single week it seems like he's on this field. I mean, the guy has been nothing but a one-man wrecking crew since he's been back. So, I mean, him getting damn near held, it looks like on every single play. Chris Jones was getting – it just seems like every single time he's out there, man, getting after the quarterback, he's getting held. But how about the 2 free agent additions and Drew Tranquill and Mike Edwards stepping up big this week?
Man.
Drew Tranquill leading the team in tackles, and then Mike Edwards with the pick. I mean, if that's not just, I mean, Veach, pat yourself in the back, man. 2 guys, Nick Bolton, our captain on defense, goes down. Drew Tranquill comes in and immediately leads the team in tackles. Granted, he's in that position to do so. He has the most traffic coming his way as a middle linebacker. But he was all over the place, Mike Edwards, with the heads-up tip pass. Took advantage of his opportunities out there. so good to see. And man, can we please? I think we got an A1 cornerback in this league in Trent McDuffie.
You didn't hear his name once today. You know what that is?
He has taken the next step this year.
Dude.
That forced fumble, that's big boy stuff. That's not just him being a good coverage guy. That's him tackling in the open field,
Isn't
making
that
big
his
boy
second
tackles.
forced fumble this season?
Rapid guys up. Two forced
Yeah,
fumbles
against
in
the
the
Lions
year.
he had one, yeah.
He's out there punching the ball out. He's an all-around. He's on his way to be an elite corner in this league. I'm telling you right now, the guy is so good. And I'm so glad we stole him from the
Sneed
Bills.
did his thing.
I'm telling you, man. Yeah, L'Jarius Sneed, of course.
Lighting people up like a Christmas tree.
Yeah, but I mean, just the overall, and then Chanel being out there, with his 4 tackles and tackle assists, and Drew Tranquil had a half sack too, man. I mean, and then Mike Dana. I mean, my goodness,
He's
Mike
getting
Dana,
paid.
like you said, he is on a roll this year. He's playing for that money. He's playing for that generational wealth, and I just love the duo that him and Chris Jones have been on the defensive line so far, and we don't even have a Minhu back. Just wait, people. I'm telling you, just wait till we get a Minhu back.
You look. What excites me the most about this defense isn't just the talent, Trevor, because they are loaded. They are loaded with talent, from veteran players to young players. And by the way, guys, I don't know if you heard on the broadcast, and this is something we already knew about, but I love they emphasized it. The Chiefs have the youngest defense in the NFL,
and the cheapest,
and the third cheapest.
Yeah.
You know who has the youngest defenses besides the Chiefs? The Giants and the defense we just faced, the Bears.
Yeah.
And do you see where those defenses are heading and where this defense is heading?
Talent
Guys,
is lacking. Yeah.
This is where Steve Bagnolo is coming into play, because he's in his bag so much. We legally changed his name for him. He's no longer Spagnolo. It's a legal thing, but we're still going through the process of it, copyright and all that. But it's Bagnolo now, because this man's in his bag. This is the best defense that Steve Spagnuolo has had since he's been a member of the Chiefs, which has been since 2019. This is the best, most talented defense he's had, and you were seeing what this man can do when he's got talent at all 3 levels. He is accessing every single player that Trevor mentioned, that I've already mentioned, is playing with a purpose. You don't see guys out there that look lost. And we have rookies, second-year players, veterans across the board on this defense. And they all look like they're in unison. And again, they did not have their Mike linebacker. Nick Bolton is a core infrastructure of this defense. He's one of the core pieces of the defense, and they didn't look like they had a single problem today at all. Now, again, you can attribute that to them playing against a bad offense, a bad team. But guys, we saw them 2 weeks ago, again, play against a top 10 offense in the Detroit Lions without their best player and gave up 1 legitimate scoring drive. This is not a fluke. I know it's different because Bagnolo's defenses usually start to peak around late November, early December, but this defense is different, and we've been telling you guys this. I was saying they're going to have a top 10 defense this year. Trevor, they have a top 3 defense this year. Maybe it changes a little bit here and there, but I don't think it's going to.
I mean, and after seeing what the Cardinals just did to the Cowboys, and after seeing, the Jets still look great. I mean, they played a terrible offense in the Patriots this today, but I mean, there might not be a more consistent defense so far in this league so far. I just don't.
They haven't even had an average game yet,
and we're still missing
They've
a star.
We're
still missing a star player in a Minhu. I'm telling you, when a Minhu gets back in this defensive line, dude, it is gonna be ridiculous.
And Trevor, this is why I am more confident than I've ever been in any other Chiefs team. They're going to win the Super Bowl this year. Guys,
and it could be in a whole different style.
Yeah,
it
isn't because
we don't have to go drop 35.
It isn't because the Bengals are banged up at quarterback. It isn't because I think the Bills are an inconsistent team. It isn't because I think the Ravens are an injury-prone team. It isn't because of any other team.
Sure.
It's because of the fact that Patrick Mahomes for the first time has an elite defense. Even if, and I credit our guy Nick Wright for this on First Things First, when he said that if the Chiefs' biggest problem is learning how to work on the passing game, and Patrick Mahomes is your quarterback, you're going to be fine eventually. It's going to start happening. That's why Trevor and I said on the Spoken Podcast, this week has to be utilized for Patrick Mahomes to get some stuff right with his wide receivers.
Well, that's why
I think
I'm glad they left him out there for at least 3.5 quarters.
Yeah.
To get that rhythm going, and Rashee Rice looked great, man. If he can get that rhythm going and more. I was hoping Kadarius Toney would get some reps in today. He was on the field for like 2 snaps, it seems like, but Sky Moore is getting that rhythm going down with Pat. I mean, Kelsey looked great today. He looked spry. He looked like himself.
They were in that flow again. You saw the goat-to-goat connection again, man.
MVS was breaking open. Justin Watson had a couple of nice. I mean, that was the connection of the day. That throw was insane.
And again, we understand it was the Bears, but guys,
of course.
Did I not say this on the Spoken Podcast this week? This is the perfect scenario for the Chiefs before they play an elite defense in the Jets.
Yeah.
You have a get-right game against a team like the Bears at home. hang out, have fun, get some barbecue in you, and then go fly out to New York, and then go and take what you did in this game, and then try to build upon it against an awesome defense in the Jets. Now, Quinnen Williams is banged up, so we can talk about that in the matchup coming up.
About them, man.
I'm just saying, though, that they have an awesome defense, so the Chiefs are going to take them seriously, and I think a tune-up game leading into a matchup like that is something the Chiefs absolutely could have absolutely used, and they did, and they took full advantage of it, and I absolutely loved what I saw. I don't know what's going on in the chat. I know that the chat was going before we even came on.
Yeah.
So let's go ahead and get some of these people, man. I don't want to keep them waiting. Trevor, what's going on in the chat?
I mean, there's so much. A lot of people are agreeing with us that McDuffie is either elite already or is looking to be elite. I mean, the guy has been an absolutely incredible. They're showing love for Drew Tranquil, the addition of him. Not a lot of questions, just a lot of agreements with us. Great game. You're right. I was wrong. Pay Jones from J. Michael Smith on Facebook.
Let's put that on the screen. Let's just go ahead and put that. Let's put some of these on the screen, Trevor. Let's start with that one. Let's start with that one because I like the sound of that one.
I mean,
let's go ahead and get a screenshot of that one.
Yeah, you're right. I was wrong. Pay Jones. Hey, with that, like we discussed on our show this week, man, with Pat maneuvering some money around, I think that's something that's in play future-wise to continue Chris Jones' career here as a Kansas City Chief. So I think that is definitely in play as far as paying Chris Jones and keeping him around for another 3 or 4 years. But yeah, man. I mean, there's so much. John Harrison talking about. We're going to hear a lot of that about Juwan Taylor again next week against the Jets with Collinsworth on the call. No doubt. I really hope not. Hopefully there's some conversations. Like I said, hopefully there's some conversations behind the scenes with the coaches and ownership and officials to kind of get this right, get this figured out what we're doing here, what the issue is, if that's actually a penalty, which it's not. That's been clarified already, but why they keep picking on him, not sure why. But John Harrison, not Chiefs related. Will Sean Payton fire his DC tonight? Oh, man.
I mean, guys, Vance Joseph was the former head coach of the Broncos. Already got canned. Goes to the Arizona Cardinals. The Chiefs put up 44 on them in week 1.
Yeah.
The problem with Vance Joseph's scheme is that he just loves to blitz so much. And when you go up against a team that has Tyreek Hill, who's been murdering Vance Joseph's defenses for years, there's really nothing you can do. I mean, a blitz scheme against a team like the Dolphins that have incredible weapons all across the board and one of the more accurate quarterbacks in the league.
Yeah.
Well, what are you going to do? You know what I mean? And Vance Joseph is just showing that his scheme is a little archaic at this point. He needs to figure it out. Sean Payton's going to make some adequate changes. I know that Russell Wilson didn't look terrible today, but once again, guys, Russell Wilson was paid and traded for to be the solution.
They're supposed to be a defensive team, though.
Yeah. Like, they have Pat
Surtain
and some badasses on that defense. Sure, what I'm saying, though, is Russell Wilson is still a part of the problem because he's not the solution. This offense isn't getting better.
Yeah, they didn't lose today because of Russell Wilson, though, man.
It was a garbage time in the second quarter.
Sure, but I mean, when you allow, what was it, 6 touchdowns between the two running backs, A-Chain and Raheem Mostert, and then Tyreek Hill, first game of the game was a 75-yard touchdown to Tyreek. Like, that game was over from the jump.
Yeah.
It literally was over from the jump, and I would not blame him if they fire Vance Joseph tonight. I really would not. I mean, the game got out of hand, but still, tourniquet. Get a tourniquet. Stop that bleeding. I mean, Jesus, it was so bad, bro. They just let the game go.
Right.
It was horrible. They just let it keep going, and they weren't even attempting to stop the running game. They scored on the exact same play twice with A-Chain with that little forward shovel pass. It was same formation. Like, man, they couldn't figure anything out, and they didn't even have Jalen Waddle out there, dude. And they scored 70 points. That was like something I've never seen anything like that.
Have we ever seen a 70-point game?
No, it's not since like 1960s. They showed 1966 or something like that was the last time 70+ points was scored. So no, not in our lifetime. We've never seen anything like that. That is that's an all time, and I'm really glad it happened to the Broncos though. Like it felt right. It felt right that to happen to them. You know, with all the shit being talked about, Sean Payton coming in and changing things, and Russell Wilson changing things in the last couple. It felt right for that to happen to them. I think they deserve that. You know.
Yeah,
what I mean?
and if it wasn't for the Vikings donating a W to the Chargers today, who didn't have Austin Eckler, and they lost Mike Williams in the middle of the game,
and the Chargers might be without Mike Williams for the rest of the year.
Yeah,
that might be a massive
loss. And if Austin Eckler's already dealing with injuries, I mean, now Keenan Allen had a baller game, but do we expect Keenan Allen to play all 17 games? Like Herbert's
that Vikings defense ain't the Chiefs defense, baby.
Man,
when they face us, it's gonna be a whole different thing.
Yeah,
it's gonna be, but we'll have a Minhu by then. So I mean,
I just hope you guys are excited as
ready.
excited as I am, because you guys know, if you follow my work, you guys know that I have been preaching all offseason that I am very nervous about this wide receiver room, and I'm going to continue to be until I see a guy really start to transcend into that wide receiver one, because that is important. Somebody needs to start taking that pressure off of Travis Kelce, who's going to be 34 in about 3.5 weeks. I want to see that guy emerge. Maybe it is Rashee Rice. Maybe it is Sky Moore. Maybe it will end up being Kadarius Toney. We don't know. All we do know is that right now the Chiefs are still trying to find those guys. I think today made things a little bit more clear for them, because they have a lot of film to study and a lot of film to look at, decipher, and choose on what they want to do. And I love the fact, Trevor, and I'm not the biggest Justin Ross guy yet, but I've always been open-minded to the thought of him doing something. The fact that he got the first target of the game tells me that the Chiefs are really starting to put more emphasis in getting these younger guys involved.
Sky Moore, you talking about?
No, Justin Watson.
Oh,
Justin Ross.
Justin Ross, yeah.
The fact that he got the first target of the game,
Sure,
that does tell me something. Andy Reid is
Andy Reid.
He's a very intentional schemer.
Yeah.
Like, he does stuff like this on purpose, and I think there was a purpose behind that. And
which makes me feel better about Rashee Rice, because and we have a comment on here from YouTube. I'm going to slaughter this name, but I'm going to go for it. Abdullah Rahman Salah on YouTube. Rice is a drop away from being a wide receiver one. I agree. He should have had a monster game. He could have had almost 100 yards, or at least 70-plus yards and 2 touchdowns today. You know what I mean? Like I said, but Kadarius Toney was not on the field, so that opened up a lot of opportunity for him, and he played well. The drop was, he got to catch that ball.
Yeah.
But, man, the kid for a rookie in this offense is coming along pretty nicely, going from being a package player to looking like a guy that was out there for a lot of snaps today. And granted, it was the Bears taking advantage of that weak secondary. But, man, he looked good. Pat was trusting him. 2 shots up the middle, up the seam. He could have scored on both of them, fell short twice. But he could have had a massive day. And I love what I'm seeing out of Rashee Rice, man.
And look, we're not going to knock the Chiefs for taking advantage of a game like this, because of the fact that every team should do this. Like I said at the beginning of the show, you got to keep bad teams bad. If you're going to tell me right now, if this game would have been like 21-17, that you wouldn't be sitting here going, how did the Chiefs let this game stay so close? That's exactly what we'd be saying. So this was a game that they needed to have. The offense needed a get-right game. I'm not as focused and fixated on style points, but guys, when you come out the gate and score 37 total points in your first 2 weeks as an offense that led the league in scoring last year, that's a real problem. So scoring 41 in one game following those 37 points
and
is
four different players scoring.
Yeah, it's a very satisfying and refreshing thing, not just for us.
Yeah.
It's for the guys, because they're the ones that are putting in the work. The coaches, the players. Trust me when I say this means even more to them, because now they're getting to go home feeling good about themselves, because for the first time all season, the offense had a really good game. They had a very good game. They had over 300 yards in the first half. That's something to be proud of, and that's something to build on. And when you have a coaching staff like the Chiefs, that's something that you should definitely be very excited about, because they're going to build on it. And one more thing, Trevor, before we get out of here, I want to say this, and this is all due respect to this man, but I really hope that what happened in that Commanders game today and what you saw the Chiefs do today puts the end to a narrative that's been out there for the last couple of weeks. That people are saying that the Chiefs' offense has been struggling out of the gate because Eric Bieniemy's been gone. Guys, we love Eric Bieniemy here. I loved him as an offensive coordinator. Dude was awesome. And I'd been pounding the table, that man should be a head coach, and he's proven it more times than he's not since he's been with the Commanders this season. This dude is a more than adequate offensive mind in this league, and he's a leader of men.
Yep.
But the Chiefs have not missed him in the way that some people are trying to say they have.
Well, because, four turnovers against the Bills will do it. But yes.
And when you have Doug Peterson, former Chiefs offensive coordinator from 2013 to 2016, he left. Chiefs offense didn't drop off. Matt Nagy was the OC for 1 year in 2017. He leaves. Offense doesn't drop off. Eric Bieniemy leaves. New core of wide receivers. New tackles on both sides of the offensive line. That's the real reason why this offense struggled to get out the gate, guys. Sure. There's unproven commodities across the board. They're going to figure it out, and by season's end, we're going to be looking back at that narrative and laughing at it. But it's no disrespect. It's no shot at EB. It's praise to this offense, this standard that's been set long before Eric Bieniemy was ever the OC here in Kansas City, guys. Yep. So don't fret about that. Don't worry about that. Eric Bieniemy's doing his thing in D.C. We'll keep doing things here the way we're doing things in KC, and that's how it's going to stay. It's been an awesome show. It's been an awesome time with you guys. We appreciate everybody that's been in the chat. We appreciate everybody at Starcade Media. Like I said, if you've not already subscribed to this show, Chatting Up the Chiefs, go ahead and do that right here on Starcade Media's YouTube channel or on Facebook, wherever you're at and wherever you're watching the show. And like I said, Trevor and I host a weekly show on Saturdays, usually at 11 a.m. We've been doing them 10 a.m.s a little bit earlier for the last couple of weeks. Nevertheless, you will be getting shows from us every single Saturday live, so you can do the same thing you're you're doing right now and join us live. You can comment, subscribe, do everything that you guys can do to help us continue to do these things. We love it, and we love having you guys with us. So in that's all we got for you guys today. Awesome win for the Chiefs. Let's see them continue to build on this. Next week, Trevor and I and Vaughn Booker will be back to discuss what the Chiefs potentially could do against that awesome New York Jets defense up there in New York. And until then, we'll talk to y'all later. Have a great night.
Later.
Right.